talked about the eras, different eras in basketball.
Mhm.
Give us the different eras in comedy, because I think with what Cat Williams, when he went on and did his interview,
Mhm.
kind of talked about the eras of comedy. Where is it at? Because like we talked about basketball, different eras, different
Mhm.
styles. Where's comedy sit right now, in your
It's
opinion?
pretty much the same as what we were talking about with basketball. Just the game has sped up, and it's a whole lot more ways to get to the basket, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and score, because you think 25 years ago, 20 years ago, there was no internet,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was no social media, so you had to really be present in certain areas to even be on the radar. You had to go to New York or you had to go to LA and hustle that way and grind, versus when I started in '08 and social media was just really getting kicked off for real. I knew that, man, I'm not the person that's gonna mesh well in that type of environment. I'm not that dude. I don't know how to fake kick it. So I can't be standing out front of the comedy club trying to be the funniest in front of the club. Like, I can't do that. So I told myself I'm gonna stay in North Carolina and make a name for myself here and create a wave around myself here, and they'll come find me because I got so many outlets to be able to show. It's no different than you look at like what's with basketball. You all these mixtapes and it was and one. That
No
was
doubt.
it.
That's
You know
it.
what I mean? But now you got dudes making these viral videos
In
and they
seventh grade.
get 7th grade, 7th, 8th grade, that stars.
Yeah.
So it's the same way with comedy. It's so many different ways to get to stardom now. Celebrity is completely different. I always ask people who were famous before social media, what was it like to be really famous? Because fame has changed so much. Like fame, the access to celebrity is completely different. You look at, like, for example, I was just having a conversation with somebody about the Kendrick Drake. When Tupac and Biggie was beefing, we had to wait till the Source magazine came out and the XXL magazine came out to see what somebody said in the interview. And now it's every 15 seconds you seeing everything. So comedy is in the same state. But one thing I will say that hasn't changed, just like the game of basketball or any other sport or anything that you do, there is certain elements that will always be consistent. And when it comes to comedy, standing flat foot on stage with that microphone will always be standing flat foot on stage with that microphone. It don't matter how many social media apps that come out. It don't matter how many views or likes you get. When you get up in front of that crowd with that microphone, if you ain't right, you ain't right. And it don't matter how funny you are online, how funny you are. If you can't do that, don't do that. Now, you don't have to do that now. That's another part of it. There was a time 20 years ago,
no choice.
you had no choice but to do stand-up. Now you don't have to. But if you choose to, that's the same. You know what I mean? And it's the same way with, I would assume, with basketball. You know what I mean? It's like standing at the free throw line. And when the game on the line, you at that free throw line.
Can't run from it.
You can't run. You either going to miss it or make it. So it's up to you. But I think that comedy is in a better state now because there's so many more opportunities that were created by social media and by the internet. You know, the internet has expanded the world in a way that it's expanded it while shrunk it at the same time. You know, I make jokes all the time. Like, I only knew what the girls looked like in my neighborhood and the ones I went to school with. The youngest now know what the girls look like all around the city and all around the country. I'm like, you know how many times I would have stole a car to drive to South Dakota? I'm talking about straight to South Dakota. They say they got the hoes at the Colonel's games.
Show.
Let's go.
What?
Let's go out there. You know what I mean? But so I think that the comedy is the beneficiary of the internet in ways that, I think probably better than most other industry, comedy has benefited the most because the cycle is 15 to 60 seconds now. So every 15 to 60 seconds you're scrolling and you're seeing something different. So it's so many opportunities for you can be nobody one day and then the next day you hawk tour and
Oh, Lord. That shit crazy. That drive me crazy.
and then you out of here.
She from
You know
South
what I
Dakota.
mean? You booked, you got merch, you like that. You know what I mean? So that didn't exist. So I think that that's what, comedy is in a state of is in a better state as far as you being able to make it. But I know a lot of the OGs, they can't stand it because they can't figure it out. And that's the thing. Like, I tell people all the time, making it on the internet now is just as difficult as making it back in the day when you was, handing out flyers with your face on it because you got to catch, you know what I mean? And you ain't in control of that algorithm. So once that algorithm, if you get caught on that algorithm, it could be like the situation, you make a video just doing an interview on the street. And the next thing you know, you booked on the Tonight Show, and it's crazy. It just go like that.
Man, who is your OGs in the game? Who is your motivation? Who you fuck with heavy? Like Steel 9, who motivated you early?
Was my favorite comedian growing up.
He from DC too,
born
right?
and raised, yes. Quake was my favorite comedian growing up, and still, you know what I mean, I would say he's been the biggest influence on me just across the board, not just in comedy, but in life, because his daughter is my manager.
Okay.
His daughter is like, and that was the most random in the world. We met at a show in Southern University. Salute the boss lady management, man, the best in the world if you ask me. But I did a show at Southern University, and you know, I had never been to New Orleans before. It was my first time going to New Orleans. So I was, you know, exploring. Whenever I go to a city I never been to before, I explore. I'm going to see all of this. I'm a tourist. So she was like, man, you never been to New Orleans? I said, the other day was my first day. I went and looked at a couple of things. She said, you ever been to Bourbon Street? I was like, nah. She was like, we going to Bourbon Street. So this is our first time meeting. We on Bourbon Street, walking down the street, talking. And she asked me the same question you just asked me, because she had never saw me do stand-up before, because a lot of people watching me on Wild 'N Out didn't know I was a comedian. They just saw me on Wild 'N Out and thought, is he a rapper? Is he a comedian? Because I did so much on it. And she was like, you raw. Like, who is some of your favorite? And I said, man, Earthquake, my favorite comedian. He been my favorite comedian my whole life. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's Dad. I was like, yeah, I feel like that's my father, too. And she was like, no, that's really my father. I was like,
so you didn't know that?
I was like, are you serious? And, you know what I mean, fast forward, I had, you know, I was always independent. I did everything on my own. I've always had to. So I had a situation come up where I had a contract that, you know what I mean, I really didn't understand the verbiage of. And, you know, she, in the conversation that we had, was like, this is what she was, you know, went to school for and what she wanted to do. And she was working with her dad. And I called her and was like, man, I don't know if you ever did this before, but you think you can take a look at this for me? And we've been working together ever since. So, you know, Quake, Martin, of course.
Okay.
Martin is, man, Martin helped raise me, man.
Okay.
Like, just, you know, he influenced the culture so much, man. Martin is like Allen Iverson to me. They in the same, as far as influence on my life. Both of them dudes is quintessential in me being who I am. Patrice O'Neal, Corey Holcomb,
okay,
D-Ray Davis, Lil Duval, and all of these dudes, like Corey, D-Ray, Duval, all of these dudes are dudes that I met when I got on Wild 'N Out. And I say I'm blessing the game because you hear a lot of horror stories about the OGs embracing the young generation. I didn't go through that. Okay. All of them showed me love immediately. Yeah. Like, Corey was the first person that I saw in our first workshop when we got to Wild 'N Out, and I was like, oh, that's Corey Holcomb. So when we doing a little fake wild style, I'm like, I'm going at this. I got to go at him because that's just who I was. It's like being on the court. Like, oh, okay, they go Jordan. Now I'm gonna try to go at the dog. Man, did me so greasy in that wild style. I can't remember what he said to me, but it was some of the funniest shit I had ever heard in my life. But you know, I went at him. I remember I said he was built like a Teddy Graham, and he said something back to me that was way more cold. And he pulled me to the side and gave me the best advice that I ever got in regards to Wild 'N Out. He said, man, hey, let me tell you something, man. I can see it in you, man. You got it. He was like, let me tell you, figure out something to do on this. Because if you don't, you're going to be one of them they show on the intro clapping, and that's going to be the only time they see your ass. And that's the realest shit ever when it comes to that show. So him, D-Ray, Duval, man, it's so many. I done met Steve Harvey. DL, all of the Sid. I just ran into Sid at the New Edition concert the other night. Like, all of the OGs have embraced me, man.
New Edition at a concert? New Edition at a
man,
concert?
Listen,
all
man. Yes.
All of them.
Listen, man.
Bobby pulled up.
Bobby, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Johnny. The whole
Johnny
squad.
came too?
Everybody was there, man. And I'm talking about to see somebody performing that's been in the game for 40 plus years is amazing, man. I was a student. I was just, because, you know, I actually know Ronnie personally. I met him in New Orleans.
Okay.
He recognized me. And that's another part of what I do that's so amazing to me, when people that I grew up watching on the other side of that box know who I am. It blows my mind. Like, when they ask me to come do this, I'm like, man, them know me? All right, you know, that's crazy. But, you know, I met him at the hotel in New Orleans. I'm walking through the lobby. He said, Chico Bean. I turned around. I was like, Ronnie? And then as I'm looking at him, Ricky and Mike came around the corner. I was like, Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike? And he invited me to a show then. So when I was here, I was walking through the wind, and I seen his cousin. He was like, Chico, man, you know we here for the residency. And I went to the show, man. It was amazing. Watching them do the meet and greets, all things that I do now as a career, to see them still doing it 40 years later.
So they here now.
They here now.
Oh, we got it, Mike.
Oh, tonight. Yeah, tonight.
We gotta put that on. I gotta try to put that on my calendar.
Yeah, tonight at the Win, man. I'm talking about an amazing show. The only thing, them was sweating like a. I'm talking about, but if it isn't like, why do I feel this way? Oh, I'm like, man, somebody wipe Bobby Nose, man. Bobby Nose running. Them is getting it in.
Hey, man.
I'm talking about they had to come out with the mop like the Sandman after. I was like, boy, they getting it in. They still doing it. They was sweating like, man, Ralph Tresvant came out performing Sensitivity like he was fresh off the grill. I'm talking about he had his shirt open. Girl, I know you so sad.
Still think he got it. Still think he got it.
Still do got it. That's the thing, man. And to see all of them women in there, and you be like, that my aunt, and they still in there. They still in there ready. I'm like, I'm talking about Cool It Now and Candy Girl. They had, I'm like, man, I can only hope to be in the game that long and still have that level of fanfare. I'm talking about these, you know that these women have been fans of these dudes since the early 80s. They came out in 1983. Like 83, and to still be doing the residency and selling it out in Vegas in 2024 is crazy. 41 years in the game, man. It's amazing.